You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network.
Hey Ramblers! Today's episode is brought to you by Fangoria. Since 1979, Fangoria has been the authority in the world of contemporary horror. As the only sanctuary for horror aficionados in its early days, it has now grown into an empire that expands beyond its celebrated magazine. From t-shirts, coffee mugs, beanies, enamel pins, there's something for every horror fanatic in your world, even if it's you. So head on over to shop.fangoria.com/pencil and paper productions or use code pencil and paper productions at checkout to get 20% off your first order or magazine subscription. Yes, it is a mouthful, which is why there are links in the show notes down below. That's shop.fangoria.com/pencil and paper productions or code pencil and paper productions at checkout for 20% off. Fangoria, first in fright since 1979.
Try it or we'll tear your soul apart.
You're listening to the Horror Ramblings podcast, the show about all things horror. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome back to Horror Ramblings, your spooky source for everything horror. I am your host, Stephen White, and as you can tell, Lester is not here. Apparently he got attacked by some little ankle-biting gremlins. He's okay. He's not dead, so he should be back next week. So in the meantime, in the interim, if you will, I have brought along my wife, like he likes to do. He likes to bring along Samantha, so I brought her along Katrina again. You know, I said she's our unofficial third host of the podcast. She's been on here enough times.
Hello.
We were trying to decide what we want to talk about today, and I made an executive decision that I'm starting to regret, to be honest, because we watched In a Violent Nature, a movie that I was looking forward to initially when it was announced. I want my 90 minutes back.
I can understand the concept behind it. And some of the stuff was good, but you can definitely tell they had a very small plan that they had to stretch over 90 minutes.
And that's the biggest frustration I have, is because it conceptually sounds like a solid idea. I think that's why I was excited about the prospect, because you're telling me that we get to follow the killer.
Yeah.
It sounds like a good idea in concept. Your execution, on the other hand, you have to think about those things. And that was part of my concern. And I heard those concerns from other reviewers and things who watched the movie before me. And I was like, okay. And I also understand, that there are divisive movies in the world. We talked about Halloween Ends on this very podcast, a very, very divisive film. We loved it. This is not one I can defend,
No.
In the same regard, because I understood what they were trying to do with that film. I also understand what they're doing with this film, but I don't think they thought it through beyond conception.
It would have worked better as a short film. One of those
100%.
one of those that you see at like a film festival or something like that. Because again, the concept of it is really cool. But when it comes to like, when you think of like Jason and stuff like that, you always have the people who are like, well, how's he getting around so fast? How's he get from here to there? How is it, he was just over here doing this thing, and then like a couple minutes later, he's over here doing this thing. And I know I pointed it out a couple times with the video or with the movie where it was weird, and I was trying to like, tell my brain, but this is, what you would be seeing if you followed the killer. Because there were moments where you heard, the teens or whatever, the victims talking and stuff like that. And you hear them talk about certain things that have already happened or bringing up certain things. but then it feels so out of place because you didn't see everything that led up to that moment of that realization. But I feel like that's how it works because there's so many walking sequences, but that's how you would have if you followed Jason instead of his victims in the movies.
And that's part of the problem that I think we need to touch on, because I'm gonna say point blank and I'm glad I was at least right in assuming as much, but I was very curious about the writer and director of this movie, and this is the very first movie he's fully directed. Now he has directed some shorts, but this was his first full length film. He's done other stuff. I know he's written some stuff. He's done some special effects work. Did special effects work on Psycho Goreman, so at least he knows what he's doing. Director wise, don't feel like this is your wheelhouse, buddy. You need to work on it, because here's part of my problem. A lot with it. Conceptually, great idea. Okay, I don't feel like he established any rules on how this concept was going to work, other than we follow the killer. Okay, so in doing so, this is where I will give credit for another movie that I cannot stand. I can't watch it because I just feel like it's a slog like this, because it did the same thing. But at least I give it credit for being consistent. There's a movie, and I believe it was called Elephant, that was directed by Gus Van Sant, who did Good Will Hunting. Jesus. But like that was the big thing that put him, like everybody was like, oh yeah, this guy's great. So he started doing experimental stuff. This movie Elephant was one of his experimental movies, and it's not directly that. I think like it's supposed to be like a telling of the murders at Columbine, but in the vein of, like, you're following some kids at a typical day at school, and then you see the killers, or the kids who are essentially going to be the killers. You see a regular day, and then everything they were doing that led up to the time that they decided to go shoot up the school.
Gotcha.
But here's the conceit that works for that movie, or at least I respected they stuck with it, is you follow the camera the entire time. Okay, now you may veer off and follow a different character for a while, but you're always with the camera. The camera never cuts. Camera's always going, always following somebody, doing something. So wherever the story needs to go, that's where the camera goes. And you just keep weaving in between people. It gets a little trying at times because, like this, the walking. Yeah. So I appreciate what they were doing. I see conceptually what they were doing, but with this movie, I don't feel like they stick to rules, because it seems as though we're going to follow the killer in that regard, because it's always over the shoulder or right behind him, something like that. So it seems like that's something we're going to do.
Yeah.
But then when a kill comes up, they cut away, or they shift, or they do something. And I understand people can argue, well, they got to do that for the kill. However, they didn't do that all the time. No. There were several kills where they stayed in frame. And to me, that would have been a hell of a lot more effective, or even interesting, because then you're wondering, well, how are you going to pull this shot off? Like, we're not going to go in any kind of specific order. We're just going to talk about this movie, and that's that. And I don't.
I mean, if y'all want to, waste your time,
if you want to waste your time, but. Yeah, so there was a kill that happened where there was a guy laying on the ground or something like that. Like he had already gotten attacked because he'd found keys. The killer had found keys. The killer's name is Johnny, which they don't really, they say, but then it's very, again, this is one of those conceits for the shot. So we follow him, 10, 15 minutes before we get to the kids?
Yeah.
And then,
because when it starts out and everything, you don't even see a single person until you see him all the way out of the ground and the camera starts following him.
Yeah, a good 5 minutes getting out of the ground, it felt like.
Yeah, and that doesn't even include the two characters off screen talking, and you're just looking at a dilapidated building for, those 5 minutes.
The movie felt very, very long. It's only 90 minutes, but it felt so long.
It felt so long because, like, there were so many shots where it should not have been 2 to 3 minutes of the exact same freaking thing.
There was literally one shot. I think it was probably a good hour into the film. Had to have been. Or maybe not. I don't know. Time meant nothing by the time this movie was over. Yeah. But he's just walking and walking and walking. And I'm waiting for anything. And at some point, it was just like, is this a fucking nature documentary or is it a movie?
Yeah.
Like, because all we're doing is just watching him walk through the woods.
Yeah.
Nothing of interest. And if you were doing interesting things with the camera, if you were doing interesting stuff where we're maybe supposed to be paying attention to little details, fine.
Yeah.
But it's not that. It's just, we're following the killer. We got to watch him walk. But you're not thinking about your audience and what you're subjecting them to, because it's so much. I mean, the movie literally feels padded for time. And the padding is this shit. Not to mention the fucking ending, which we will get to.
Just it literally felt like somebody said, and honestly, I feel like it would have been better for somebody to, again, make it a short film, but make it a fan-made short film about Jason. Because at least then you could appreciate the killer. You could appreciate those shots of watching him walk for, freaking 2-3 dang minutes at a time. And you could appreciate the kills more. But I don't feel like there was any appreciation for the killer whatsoever, because it literally just felt like a Wish brand version of Jason. Oh, he was the slow kid. He died a horrible way, and one of his parents went to avenge him, and his parent died. And then all of a sudden, he came back. Yeah. And his mom's necklace is the thing that, keeps him there. Like Jason's mom with the fucking sweater.
Yeah.
It's literally like they took that concept and just made it so much fucking worse. I would have rather watched a man in a Jason mask walk around for 90 minutes than what we watched. And
honestly, that was kind of I was curious to know what his approach was to writing the movie, because for me, if I had this idea and I thought, all right, what would be the best way to approach this? Because I feel like you'd have to approach it backwards. Go to the movie, like pick a Friday movie and say, okay, here are the events that happened. Now let's work backwards and say, what was Jason doing?
Exactly.
And then see what you can do with that information.
Yeah.
See where you can set him. See how you can work it. Because again, I don't feel like the rules were followed, because we follow him up until the point we find the kids. These are the kids who took his necklace or whatever. But then we shift to them, which is fine, because we have to get to know somebody. We have to have exposition. Otherwise, it's going to be 90 minutes of dead silence and looking at nature.
And just his footsteps.
Yeah, and the footsteps. Just constantly.
Oh, my God.
It's like Counting Steps, the movie, is what this was. But, so then we cut to them. So we're under the assumption that every time we cut back to the kids or whatever, he has to be nearby. But you've established the first 15 or 20 minutes, we follow him. So why are we still not following him listening to this?
Right?
Yeah. I understand that it wouldn't, it'd be a difficult sell because there's a lot. So therefore, this is a problem you have to overcome if you're going to commit to this bit. And there are some bits in the movie where I appreciate. You hear like you mentioned, the dialogue. You hear the dialogue. You're hearing the things, and they're having those conversations you would hear in the other movies. But I also feel that the way that they are presented to us just sound like people reading lines into a microphone. It doesn't feel genuine.
Nope.
Like it doesn't feel like there's an actual thing happening off screen.
Nope.
It's just people reading lines into a microphone. And that is the other problem, is it's hard for me to believe that any of this stuff is going on when no one sounds panicked or in the moment. They just sound like, hey, we've got to go. Come on, let's do this. We've got to do this thing now. We've got to go do a thing.
Well, like even towards the end with the one girl, and you see, and there's so many faraway shots.
Yeah.
that are obscured. And in this particular shot, you're standing with the killer, you see all the trees, and you see the last 2 remaining survivors roll up on a 4-wheeler, and then the girl hops off and she runs over to the truck, and you just see her fall, and she sits there for like a good solid 2 minutes, and the killer walks up, and the dude, when he yells at her, he not only yells, but he like revved the engine of the 4-wheeler.
Yeah.
And it's like the acting was so awful. Like, one of the other kills, like you pointed out, she literally just stood there.
Yeah,
She could have ran to the left, to the right, slid down the massive hill. So many options.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I pointed out. Unlike a Jason movie, you have these characters who see him and are like, oh, fuck, and take off running. Their fight or flight kicks in. And while you had, maybe 1 or 2 characters that actually fought back in this movie, all the rest of them either got snuck up on and killed almost instantly or did not run.
Yeah.
And the one character that we see running, she's just running the entire freaking time. And I feel like that's where it should have ended the damn movie. And the entire last 10, 15 minutes, that was that
jump ahead,
stupidity.
I want to touch on the one kill that you mentioned, because Jesus fucking Christ, that made me so mad.
Go ahead.
I feel like there was another kill in this movie beforehand, because we got established, like, as he got out of the ground, there was a guy out hunting or something like that, right? Or no?
No, it was 2 men who never get explained who the hell they were.
There was a house out in the middle of nowhere.
Dilapidated looking house. And it almost seemed like a lover's spat.
Yeah.
But yet there was literally no explanation. And again, if you continuously remind yourself that this is what the killer would hear or see, just walking up on these random people, of course you're not going to know what the hell's going on.
Yeah. And look, I gave the movie a lot of credit from the start, that maybe it's a slow build, and I know that some people can't tolerate that, is when a movie is a slow burn, but it eventually gets somewhere. I can survive that all day. You just got to get somewhere. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's where this movie falters. So when they get to the first house, and you hear these guys fighting, and it sounds like one of them's getting ready to kill the other one. It's like, get on out of here. Yeah, guy drives off. He comes out, like, you see the killer walk into the house as the other guy who was fussing and didn't leave walks out of the house from the opposite end. So now we're like, okay, so we're doing this little loop around.
Exactly.
Kind of a fun little thing, because you're like, okay, so we've seen this in the movies before, but now we're seeing it from the other side.
I mean, even the way the killer, as he was walking up towards the house, the way that he walked, because at first I was like, well, okay, it's obviously he's following a trail up towards the house. But then he gets up so far, and it's like he turns and goes around a different way of the house. And it doesn't seem like it's very Michael Myers-y, where he's like planning it out, like what he wants to do, where he wants to hide type thing. But very much like Jason, where it is, somebody who might not be
a cognitive thinker, like just kind of in the moment. It's like,
somebody who can get distracted easily. Yeah. And I feel like you do see the killer kind of have those moments.
Sure.
Where he walks up on something and it's almost, like, huh. But then it's, once he gets his attention back to where it needs to be, he goes back to what he's doing.
Right.
But I thought that was really cool the way he walked up, because my first thought was, how the crap did they not see him? Because that's another thing. It's not all at night. No. Like a lot of horror movies are. A lot of it is during the day and direct sunlight, open fields. Like, you should be able to see this motherfucker coming. Sure.
Yeah. So after he offs, like the guy, he eventually follows him around. We don't really get to see what he does to him, but the guy spots him eventually, like in the house. Because I'm assuming he thinks it's the other guy that just ran off. Because he says, come back, Carol. He's getting ready to kill this motherfucker. I mean, just think about that for a second. Yeah. And then the killer, Johnny, he rounds the corner and the guy freaks the fuck out, tries to shoot him. He does shoot him, does he not? Or
I think he does shoot him.
yeah, and then freaks out, doesn't do anything, and then he's
Yeah, the freaking running away.
We watched him run
Oh my god.
for at least a good solid minute out of the house into the woods with Johnny following behind. Then we see him finally in the deep of the woods. Johnny catches up to him, and then it's a cutaway to he's dead already.
Yeah, and I
So
mean
we're like,
he.
oh, okay.
Yeah, like he gets hurt, which again, if you were seeing it from the victim's side, you would see everything that led up to him getting hurt, and then here comes the killer. Like, I can appreciate it, but there's so much of the walking and the not doing anything.
It's the approach is wrong. Like you've found the most boring angle in which to follow this killer.
Literally, and it's the footsteps. Like, that's the biggest thing. If it was more hearing the nature and stuff like that, okay, but it literally sounds like they had a microphone taped to his damn pants to record them freaking footsteps.
So I think it was right after that. Yeah, it was. We saw the nighttime stuff, and then he follows one of the guys because he's kind of observing all the friends in their little cabin out in the woods, because there's obviously a cabin out in the woods.
Right.
It's one of those movies.
Which, no explanation as to why these kids are there, as to what they're doing, or anything else, because it's not like a summer camp. Like, Friday the 13th.
Yeah, this is just a bunch of friends out in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, they mention a town, but we never see a town.
Yeah.
All we ever see is woods, and it makes it seem like they're out in the middle of freaking nowhere, out in the mountains, and it's weird.
No, I'm 100% on board. So we hear them talking, having some sort of conversation about some girls back in town, making fun of one of the guys. He's like, well, whatever. He goes and walks off, and then we get kind of our first official good kill, if you will. And so you think at this point, you're like, all right, okay, we're amping things up. But again, I feel like the rules get broken on how we're approaching this, because he walks up on, like, we're following the killer the whole time. And he's observing everybody, and then he follows and he clocks the one dude and he goes after him. And he walks right up behind him. So you're like, okay, what is he getting ready to do? And then as soon as he gets ready to kill him, we cut and we shift gears. So now we're in front of him. So again, it's that camera angle stuff that bothers me a little bit, because I feel like you didn't commit completely to this concept. And following the killer, as much as I appreciate, and I know it's not going to be that easy, because they do jump cuts through the walking, if you can believe it.
They do. I feel like a lot of that at first probably had a lot to do with trying to hide his face.
Yeah.
Because that is something they do eventually show his face.
At a random part in the movie, too.
A really random part. Like, I thought it was going to be, again, Friday the 13th. I'm sorry I keep bringing that up, but there are so many parallels to it.
It's an accurate parallel.
Yeah. But I thought it was going to be one of those where they knocked the mask off and gasp, oh my God. I did not expect it the way that they did it.
Yeah. He just took it off.
And there's unlike Jason, with at least the first few or whatever, I guess it'd be first one or two.
All of them show his face.
Well, I meant before he technically gets resurrected.
Gotcha.
You can tell this motherfucker was dead from day one. Like, he wasn't just hiding in the ground or some shit. He was dead. He is a zombie spirit, something another. But yeah, I didn't understand the whole scene when they showed his face, or even the keys.
Yeah, I didn't understand the keys either. I think all they were really trying to establish is he was simple. Like, because he was supposed to be slow or something like that. So they show him with the car, and he's like, hey, look at that, I'm playing with a car. It's not a very good, effective way to show that he's simple.
It was not.
And I don't mean that in a disparaging way. So
no, because again, it just, like...
I know. It was not a very good way to go about it. I did not think that was a...
It was not. Again, I feel like if the people who made it, if they would have just taken any of the Friday the 13th movies, any of them, and just made it like it was from Jason's point of view, and make it a short film, because they don't talk.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously you're not going to have dialogue. But when you come up on, the victims and stuff like that and hearing the dialogue, sure. Again, there were certain things I can appreciate because while I didn't catch, I don't think, any of the fucking victims' names, I know that there was a part where one of the victims, I think it was one of the first kids, gets killed.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of see one of those instances again, like Friday the 13th, where the killer took the body from where he killed him to an entirely different location.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up, because the very first kill that we did see where he kind of cuts the guy's through the mouth, like decapitates him, but from like the jawline up.
And a very Jason kill.
Yeah, very Jason kill. Like he drags him back to the
ranger station.
Ranger station, and then of course this is where he finds his mask that he's going to wear throughout the movie, and the reveal they did, I appreciate, but again, it's that build up. All the build-up that you're doing in this movie, that's the problem with this, is every bit of setup that they think is going to be just amazing, they're not accounting for how bored the audience is waiting for this shit. You have not established anything to make us give a shit.
Yeah. Like if they would have had it to where they cut to him walking and dragging and you not see what he was dragging until that light clicked on. Or, until he threw the freaking part of the head through the window. Because I love that part.
Yeah.
Seeing the head go through the window and it bouncing through. Because, again, you can see these types of horror movie killers doing that.
Yeah.
Type thing. But then there was other parts where it's just like, why?
Yeah.
Like,
so... Yeah, very much in the why vein as to, I mean, that's pretty much the only reason he even dragged him to the ranger station, is to get the mask and get a weapon.
Which, again, doesn't make sense because he could just broke the window with his freaking hand.
Yeah, I don't recall even any reason as to why he would have gone to the ranger station in the first place. Like, what is luring you there?
Outside of what we heard of the story with, which I feel like we need to try to look up what that story said.
Here's what it says. All right.
Okay.
So, yeah, there was a story about his legend, all right? And this is how they recount it. Decades prior, Johnny, the developmentally delayed son of a local merchant, was tricked into climbing the fire tower for a, quote, bag of toys, unquote, only to find someone waiting at the top to scare him. He fell from the tower to his death, which was deemed accidental. According to legend, 2 series of murders decades apart are attributed to Johnny's vengeful spirit. After the story, the group then goes into their cabin. Now, as we mentioned before, there's the necklace thing. They said something about his dad being, like, trying to get revenge.
Well, like, from what I remember, it was something about after Johnny died, which, again, doesn't make sense because the motherfucker in the movie is a grown-ass man.
But this is where the Jason influence comes in. I guarantee you that's what they're going by, is like, well, Jason, he grew up and he died as a kid.
I know, but we never saw Jason die. There was just assumed that he drowned and there was no body found.
We never saw this motherfucker die either, so...
Well, no, but they said that the person buried him.
I know.
At the fire tower, which is where he woke up from. But he is a grown-ass man, and I can understand if he is developmentally, disabled, that he can be a grown man, and, it's just the way that they talk about it, and the way that they talk about him in the movie makes it come off that he was a child, very much like Jason.
Yeah.
So it's weird to see him not as a child because there was absolutely no way he was a child. Even when Jason comes back and the clothes that he's wearing, you can tell that he got them from somewhere else. The clothes that this man is wearing looks like it is what he died in.
Yeah, 100%. So it's right here we get into like the next 2 kills, and I swear to God, this is when I knew all right, so this is going to be the run of the movie. So we had 2 girls going out to a dock.
Yes.
Now, as we see them on the opposite side of the lake, we also follow Johnny to the lake beforehand, and he walks into the water and just keeps on walking. And we're still on the lake, watching the girls from a distance from the opposite side of the fucking lake.
Yes.
One has jumped in, one is taunting, come on, baby, come on. Like they're flirting or whatever, and kind of being like, I'm going to get you. I thought you were interested. We actually get cut to the other side. So we get to see the action up close, but does it change anything? No, because then we go back to the opposite side after they get done talking. One has already walked off, so then we sit there and watch the other girl leave while the other girl still swims, and we're waiting for her to get dragged under because we know what's going to happen.
And you can barely see her, too.
Yeah.
She is a brunette in the water, and yes, it's, daylight and sunny, but it is a far freaking shot from where the camera is. Like, they legit set up the camera on the other side of a fucking lake and then filmed across the lake. So you can just barely see her. And I honestly believe if it wasn't for her reaching up on the dock, you wouldn't have seen her go under.
Sure, no, yeah. And so we stay on her for at least a good minute and a half.
Oh, yeah.
Or more. I don't know. Again, time with this movie was just a drag.
Yeah.
Finally, she gets dragged under, and even waiting for her to die, because we have to sit and wait to watch her drown, and that takes at least another minute or two.
And you really don't see her drowning.
No, we wait for her body to resurface.
Yeah. She pops up one time, barely gets out a yelp, and then is Jaws style brought back under the water.
Yeah.
And then after another minute or so, bloop, bloop. Bloop, bloop. Just kind of floats back up to the top, and that's where you leave it.
And we stay on her for a good 30 seconds to a minute. Seriously. And then Johnny walks out of the water.
I was going to say, we didn't even touch on the first long thing. I know that I said about, the dilapidated house, but before we ever see the killer, it focuses on a piece of a pipe for like 5 straight minutes.
Well, it might not have been that long. It did feel long. But that had a purpose. It could have been cut back, but that had a purpose because that was going to start moving and be like, had a purpose.
Yes.
But it could have been cut down 100%.
Oh, 100%.
Had a purpose, but it, yeah. So after he kills the one girl, I'm not going to remember because you don't get to know anybody. I don't know if these characters have names. You don't get to know anybody, so it doesn't matter.
Like they're even
faceless as far as I'm concerned.
And they do, because it literally feels like they should have put out 2 movies when they put this one out. Like I feel like you should have had one movie, which was all from the victim's point of view, and the other movie, which was from the killer's point of view.
No.
Because there is so much going on, and there are things going on with the victims, because the main kid, who you find out is one of the kids who took the necklace, has a girlfriend who is the one who, makes it to the end of the movie. I don't ever remember hearing her name. There's nothing about her that makes you root for her to get away or nothing like that. You never really understand what the crap's going on. But then there's another kid in the friend group who makes a comment, and then the boyfriend of the final girl makes another comment that almost comes off of she used to be dating the other boy who said something, but now this guy's got her and is like, yeah, say something now. And that awkward, because that's where you pointed out, wow, way to make it awkward, because it got fucking awkward and you have no goddamn clue what the fuck's happening.
And it really does nothing for the film.
No, because you don't know what led up to it. You don't know the backstory about it.
And look, I'll even give it credit for committing to that, okay? The fact that we're getting, if we were the killer, and we overheard that, sure, I have no fucking clue. But guess what? We're not the killer. Yeah. You are focusing way too much on this scene. If it is supposed to be nothing,
right?
You are focusing on it way too hard.
I don't even remember what happened to the boy that I suspect was in a relationship with the final girl. I literally do not remember seeing him die. I don't know if he was one of the ones that died off screen or what the crap happened with him. But none of these kids have redeeming qualities. No. They're not even kids. They're full-grown adults, but none of them have redeeming qualities. And I can't think of a single one that it was just,
Well,
You
let's
can't
talk,
even root for the killer.
Let's talk about the one that got on our nerves the most, because I
Oh,
still
God.
don't know what the fuck she, like, I don't understand the scene. So one of the girls, the girl that walked away from swimming, skinny dipping with the other girl, I'm assuming that's what it was. She goes off to do yoga. She's sitting off on a cliff doing yoga.
Yeah.
And we follow Johnny out of the water and straight to her.
And not like a normal cliff either. It looks like a cliff to like a quarry or something.
There's a slope.
But yes, one heck of a slope, but not like a rocky fall to your death, tumble down 1,000 times, bashing your head in slope.
If you slid down it, you could survive. You just got to be careful.
Yeah.
It was survivable.
It was survivable. That's the main point. That's the key point.
So
Remember that.
he comes up behind her. She thinks it's her other friend, turns around, screams bloody murder, then turns around and stares off the cliff and just goes dead. Like, she just limps. Like, oh, I guess this is my fate. Even though to the left of her and to the right of her are completely open areas in which she could have run at any point in time before he approached her completely.
Yeah.
She had a way out.
She could have ran. She didn't even have to run backwards or scurry backwards when he walked. He was so far away from her.
Yes.
She could have stood up. She was already standing up, technically.
Yeah, she was.
She could have saw him and then darted to the left, to the right, fucking straight at him and zigzagged off real quick because all he had was the stupid chain hook things.
Yeah. And furthermore, as we mentioned about the cliff, she could have slid down the cliff.
Yes!
On her yoga mat, no less.
Yes. She could have slid down that motherfucker.
But no, she stood there like a moron and just said, well, I'm dead. And then he just proceeds to kill her. Just hand right through her stomach.
Yeah,
and
just
then,
very, not even believably hand through the stomach.
No, it didn't feel forceful. It's like it just slid right in.
Not only that, but she was able to then turn around because that's not where she dies.
Yeah, no, this was a whole feel like they were trying to one up Jason, and it just felt overly complicated. Like Jason could have done this more efficiently somehow. So he puts his hand through her stomach with the chain, mind you.
Yeah, chain and hook.
Mm-hmm. Turns her around, then...
Oh no, she turns around.
She turns around?
She was already facing towards the water, him behind her.
I thought he turned her
He
around.
goes through her.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, he takes his hand out and she slowly turns around and she's just looking at him. Then he grabs the hook, puts it in her freaking head, then spins her ass around and grabs the chain and starts pulling so her head fucking bends forward and
goes in through the hole in her chest. Again.
In her stomach.
In her stomach. So it's graphic as hell.
Yeah. Horrible sounds.
I want to say amazing kill, but again, Jason would have done this better. He would have found a way to make this so efficient.
Jason wouldn't have made it last fucking 3 damn minutes just to do that one kill scene.
Yeah, he would have
and her ass wouldn't have still been alive. That motherfucker's hand went through her spine.
Like literally, he could have taken his hand, grabbed it on the back of her neck, and jammed it into her fucking stomach by hand without breaking a sweat.
Yeah, because it took forever. And I think that's one of the things I feel like that they might have been trying to do is almost that gross out factor. Because not only is it overly gory, but the sound effects.
Yeah.
And like you hear, him pulling and you hear ripping and snapping and tearing and it's freaking gross.
So she does go off the cliff eventually. He just pushes her.
And only makes it halfway down the fucking cliff, proving that it is not that damn steep.
Yeah, she would be alive had she just not gone stupid in her brain. This is about the time that we come across the other guys complaining about the car keys, and then we see the thing where Johnny picks up the car keys to play with the car on the thing. Then he hears the other guys, and then they said something. I don't know what they said, but it pissed him off.
Yeah, I didn't catch that either because I heard them talking. And again, this is one of those instances where you could hear the dialogue that you would hear in a normal movie of, oh my God, so-and-so's dead. We need to go. We need to get out of here. Oh no, sorry. It was before so-and-so was dead. It was, they took a picture at the campfire.
Yeah.
And he was standing in the woods, and you could tell by the way that they were setting it up, he was going to be in the picture. Lo and behold, he was in the picture. And that's what you hear is them going, you know, there was somebody in the woods. He's right here in the picture. And dude walks around looking for the car keys that another dude chucked. There's no way those car keys made it all the way the fuck over to where he was.
No, that was a hell of a throw.
That was a hell of a throw. Through woods.
Mm-hmm. Through woods, yeah.
But when the killer finds the car keys, he drops his little hatchet and then goes and sits behind a tree to play with these car keys. And this is when you get to see his face. And
it's a nothing reveal. It really is like, oh, okay.
I thought it was going to be a lot more grotesque.
Mm-hmm.
And it really was not that grotesque. I feel like he was a lot more put together than Jason is later on in the movies and shit.
Yeah.
But
for being dead much longer.
For being dead, yeah, for freaking how long? A decade?
It said it, yeah, at least 10 years, I think.
But I don't even think they explain what happened to like his mom and stuff. Why her necklace? Because you do see one scene of that where it's him looking at the beginning when he's in the dilapidated house. Him looking at a mirror or sees a mirror. And you don't see his face, but...
Yeah, that was such an odd scene in the movie, too. It felt so out of place.
Right? Like, you see what you would assume is a memory, and it's of his dad's, just the chest or torso, wearing a flannel shirt and holding out the necklace going, this is your mom's, necklace.
Yeah.
So was his mom already dead? So it was just him and his dad? So it's like again, like Jason, but swap the parent?
I guess, because I don't know. I don't remember hearing any of these details. I really don't. Like, I've honestly looked through, and I even read the dialogue, or at least what they said happened to the kid in decades prior. I'm sorry. So it's been
decades.
It's been a while. So
but even still.
Yeah.
Like, because the one ranger, because you do see, the two surviving kids get to the ranger station, and, they're telling or the final girl, I guess is how we're going to refer to her, has the necklace on. Because her boyfriend, who is already dead, and he did have a cool death scene, I feel like. He's the one that got the wood splitter.
No, that wasn't him.
That wasn't him?
No, that was the ranger.
Oh, that's right. That was the ranger.
So let's...
Shit, how did the boyfriend...
Well, hang on. Let's go through where we're at, because we don't have a lot more of this.
Okay, yeah, no.
There's a lot more to the movie at this point, but there's really not. When we break it down to you, you're going to be like, really? That took another hour? Yeah.
Right?
Because I clocked the movie at one point, and 30 minutes had passed, and I was like, that was the first kill. Yeah, the first kill before when we got the kid that got the mouth cut off. I was like, I want to clock this. I want to see how long it took. 30 minutes before we got a full-fledged kill like that. Then, okay, so after he looked at the keys, they said something, pissed him off. He goes after the other two. Now, this is a pretty cool shot, but again, it just felt like a lot. But again, in these moments, these shots worked for me.
Yes.
When the intensity is up. So he goes outside. He hears the two guys fussing and fighting about the car or whatever. He picks up like a piece of wood, jams it on the fucking horn of the vehicle, walks all the way the fuck around the house.
Literally all the way, or like jams it and then not power walking or anything, but at a brisk kind of walk.
Yeah. And just circles around this house. All the while, and again, another great shot. There's good stuff in here when they wanted to do it. He walks around, and then you can catch out of the corner of your eye on the left side as he walks by a window, somebody clocks him walking by.
Yep.
And then he gets to the other guy who's out trying to stop the horn. And of course, he's fussing at somebody that he thinks did it.
I think he's yelling at him thinking he's out in the woods.
Yeah.
And I think that was the boyfriend.
Gotcha. And then Johnny comes up on this blonde-headed prick.
Yeah.
And was it in that moment? Yeah, he cut his leg.
Yeah, because Johnny had a hatchet and then he had the little sickle things, which are all like firefighter equipment or some shit. And it's like old school firefighter equipment. But that's what he had to kill people with. And he hits the boyfriend, who is the one that took the necklace, in the leg with a hatchet.
And then the guy that clocked him from inside the house comes out with a gun and shoots at him, but misses. Like, how the fuck could you miss? Because he had him dead to rights. And then, of course, he turns around, does, in fact, shoot him this time. He goes down. He goes to help the other guy.
And I like that shot because I don't know if you noticed it, but when he fell, you could still see him breathing. And then once the other guy who shot him got into the scene, he stopped breathing. And that's when he looks over and he's like, "No, man, he's dead." I was like, "Oh, that's smart."
Yeah. Little glimpses of good stuff in here. It's just as a whole, it doesn't work.
Yes.
So, yeah, that was amazing.
Because in that same instance, when they get out of the shot, he starts breathing again.
Yeah. And he just gets right back up, grabs his weapon. And I even liked how they did this because off screen, like he just gets up, chucks that fucking axe, and you hear, ah! So you know he nailed the guy, and then he just keeps walking, goes up. Like, all this was good. Like, this was one of the best sequences in the movie because when he got him, then he walks over to the other friend. We're still on the friend. We're in that one shot.
Yes, and it's an aerial shot.
Yeah, and I was waiting to see if they were going to cut away because they had done it before. But the camera goes above him, and we see him kind of standing over the guy. He picks up a rock, and I was like, are they going to cut away? And they don't. He drops that rock right on dude's head, and I was like, oh shit, they did a winner. So, I mean, that was amazing effects work, what they did, cutting, editing, the whole nine, perfection.
Oh, yeah.
If you'd have done more shit like that, this movie would have been amazing.
Yeah.
But it's...
And I think the thing that helped it, too, is it was much more fast-paced.
Yeah. We kind of kept things going.
Yes.
That's the problem. This movie has great sequences just bogged down by having to get there.
Yes.
So that was... After that, I think, is when we kind of go, and that's when the other two show up on the ATV.
Yes, like almost immediately. And that's the other thing that trips me out, is I don't know if this was... I'm guessing it was supposed to be part of it. Because I know I made a comment more than once how all of this shit is set in, like, thick woods. Beautiful scenery. But it's like thick, condensed woods. But you can hear people talking. And this dude is walking for what feels like ever. And then he finally gets up to the people. But he's always far enough away that you're like, how the fuck did you hear them?
Yeah. So after the other two kids show back up, they spot him. They bail out. And he practically follows them back to the ranger station.
Yeah, literally. Just, and the same pace.
Yeah. Same pace. So this was probably one of those shots where we saw one of those long extended walking sequences at dawn because it was like, oh, for God's sakes, come on.
Yeah, because it was still during the day when he attacked them, and by the time he got to them at the ranger station, it was nighttime.
So by the time we get to the ranger station, we're still following him, but then you see from a distance the ranger station, we hear the ranger talking to the other two surviving kids, telling them they
asking
pretty much
why they had the
necklace, like fussing at them. Again, details like this. This is where we're getting exposition proper.
Yes.
In a scene, we're like, oh, okay, this is how this is all working out. So we hear him fussing. You guys screwed up. You took this. He's come back because of you, and all that stuff. And then, of course, he just walks up on him, doesn't give a shit. Because I was waiting to see if they were going to make him cut around or turn. He just keeps going.
Yeah,
and
no.
they're like, oh shit. There he is.
They even go,
bang, bang.
There he is.
Yeah.
And then you find out the ranger knew him or knows of him. met him before. But was it when he was still alive? Because that doesn't add up with the Ranger's age.
Again, we don't know how long it's been, and yeah, but I get what you mean. It doesn't track.
Yeah, it did not track. But another thing I was going to say also is there are so many scenes when we say, like, you know, it's dark, because they do have those scenes where it is dark and the killer is walking through the dark. It is dark.
Yeah, it's
pitch black. Can't see him.
ridiculousness they're doing nowadays where no one knows how to light a fucking scene.
Yeah.
Like Game of Thrones battle with the fucking White Walkers dark.
Yeah. Like you can hear his footprint or footsteps, but you cannot physically see him on the camera.
Yeah.
Which is cool in some sense because, again, like when the light clicks on and everything and you get those... Or, well, when he walked around the corner of the one house and it lit up because of the moonlight or whatever. Like, that was cool. But also, it's kind of irritating because you're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah. So, the Ranger shoots him.
Mm-hmm.
He goes down briefly. Mm-hmm. And they do this thing, which, again, I appreciate in some instances in this movie, but this is not one of those times. And they did this a lot, where they'll linger.
Yeah.
You know, when he's down. The scene prior to this, it worked. Where he got shot the first time.
Yes, because they assumed he was dead.
Yeah. Here we know better. And now it's just like, y'all go get some...
And the Ranger knew better.
I know. And he's just like, go get some rope. We're chains. We'll tie him up and we'll put him back. Okay. And then we're just waiting.
Yep.
Watching everybody go do it.
Yep.
Just like, come on. Let's go. Anytime now. And then... Eventually, he gets back up, and then we have the whole big deal where I assume he paralyzed the Ranger. He did something to him and paralyzed him. Yes,
it looked like he grabbed the back of his head and squeezed. So I'm assuming that he paralyzed him that way because he was not dead. He still had movement in his eyes and seemed very aware.
And this was this was absolutely unnecessary scene. This is like, I literally was just thinking, we're just doing this just to see how far we can go with shock value. Now, effects wise, great stuff. Beyond that, you're just doing this for glorification for gore. Because he drags him to a wood splitter, just sticks his arm in there for starters, and we watch that get cut off. And then we see him then put his body on the wood splitter, and then we see that get cut. But it serves no purpose. It's such an extended sequence that does nothing more than just like, you ready for some gore? Are you ready for it? Wait. It's coming. It's coming. That's what it feels like. It's like, okay.
But I mean, that's like the final kill.
And it's not all that impressive. I mean, it's impressive in the sense of the swap out, like with the Rock, okay? Yeah. But beyond that, I mean, there's nothing to it. Like, the gore is not worth waiting for that.
Especially not when it just looked like he was already dead and you just laid him up on there. Yeah. There was nothing to show that he was still alive or could feel pain or anything like that.
Exactly, because again, he's not screaming. He's just laying there. Yeah. So it's just like you're dismembering this body or just cutting it up. So you might as well have just done that.
Yeah, just for shits and giggles.
Yeah. So the two kids, they're trying to leave, and eventually the boyfriend, I think something happens to him. I'm trying to figure out what happened. Oh, he gets him with the axe.
Yes,
I forgot.
You can hear them talking in the woods as the killer's walking.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's another. Oh, Jesus. I forgot. This shows how much I was starting to lose focus at the end. So, yeah, they were out in the woods. You can hear them talking. He can hear them talking. They do this shot where he's just looking around for them. And all you do is hear them whispering off in the woods.
And you can even hear the girl go, "He can see us. I know he can see us."
Yeah. Hear them clear as day.
Yeah.
Eventually, he spots her. Like, I think she stood out and kind of distracted him, so he spotted her. And he stares at her, and he looks. And the next thing you know, the dude is right behind him. "Hey, motherfucker, come on." And then he gets smacked right in the fucking head. instantaneously. Like, this is the type of shit any motherfucker in a Jason movie would know not to do. Do not approach him from behind. You are going to die.
I thought that he was just trying to distract.
Sure, yeah, no, I think that's what it was about too, but
even, I mean, and technically it still served as a distraction.
it did.
Because, and this is where I knew that you definitely did not like this movie, because I have never, in all the years we have been together and all the fucking horror movies that I have watched with you, have never heard you go, "Come on," when somebody is being killed on the screen, because it lasted forever.
There's a limit, okay? When somebody is fucking dead, you're dead.
Yes.
Okay? This character had no reason to be this fucking angry at this character for any reason other than he took the locket.
But he wasn't even the one that took the locket.
Exactly.
That's the two people that started the entire thing. The first one was the first kill, and the second one was the one who got his fucking head smashed in.
And again, we've seen nothing from this killer that indicates any kind of emotion or an emotional connection. And when we do see emotional connections, they come out of nowhere. Like, why did he get mad about the keys and crush the car? Which he can apparently crush a car in, like a little matchbox car in his hands.
Yeah, like it's literally nothing.
Turns into paper or something, I guess. But yeah, so he just starts, he hits the guy in the head with the axe and just keeps fucking going. And at this point, we have seen so much drawn out shit that I'd had it, because he's sitting there and this is a minute in, just keeps whacking and she's staring at it.
Yeah.
The girl just sits there and stares at him like, what the fuck are you doing? Either he needs to stop or you need to run. Somebody pick something, because I don't want to watch this shit anymore, because we're not doing anything.
Yeah.
And so eventually she leaves, but he continues to whack away at the fucking thing. Now, I will say this, before she does run off, which again, why it took forever to get there, she does take it off the necklace and sets it down on
a gas can.
A gas can that was sitting right nearby. And then she darts off.
That she was holding. No explanation as to why she was holding a bear trap and a trash can. Or a trash can. A gas can.
Yeah.
And you could assume that they were going to set up some type of trap to get him.
Sure.
So it makes me wonder, was that the fucking plan? But then why did the guy jump out and was like, "Hey, motherfucker, I'm right here"? Like, it did not make sense.
Yeah. Structurally, something wasn't adding up here. It seemed like they had a plan. I don't know if they had a plan, but the plan went south. She left the necklace. She took off. This should have been the end of the movie.
Yes. 100%.
Absolutely fucking end of the movie. I don't know why we decided to go for another 10 to 15 minutes where our final girl winds up on the main road.
After running for what felt like ever through woods.
Continuing to hear the axe hit her boyfriend's head, which I don't understand.
Every time she stopped thinking she was far enough away, you could hear the thwack, 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 and then she'd start running again.
And I try to equate that where we kind of, you kind of threw out like the telltale heart or something like that. Now, granted, it's not a 1-to-1, but you understand the concept is like, oh, she's trying to get away from it, but she can't, she keeps hearing it. I get it. Okay. So morning comes. She did injure her leg, by the way. That was another thing too that happened. But again, it doesn't matter.
Explanation as to how.
Yeah.
Just
she woke up, leg injured. She tripped on something, I guess. So she's limping on a dirt road, and you're waiting for the killer to show up or something like that, because we're doing these shots and we're focused on her now. And that's the other thing too. They didn't really give us a tag and you're it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I feel like you should have done in this situation, because we've following the killer this entire time and now we're just following her. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So now she's limping down this dirt road. A truck shows up. We think the killer's behind her because they're intensifying. everything, and we're, the pace gets intense, the mood,
Yeah.
and we get, the camera's just following faster, faster, faster until we get up to her, and we just pan around and we just see everybody's face and everybody's fine. And she gets in the car and she's like, we're going to drive down the road. I'm going to take you somewhere. And it's like, okay,
And
where's this going to go?
We're driving for quite some time. Again, you would assume with how fast he was able to get around those areas, which does not feel fast at all.
No.
But it was fast enough to where none of these people could get inside a freaking vehicle and drive away in the time it took him to track every single one of them down.
Mm-hmm.
And he seemed to know exactly where the hell every single one of them was going to be.
Yeah. So now we're in this truck with this woman and our lead that we've not really given a shit about up to this point. And then we have to sit there for 10 minutes. Are you okay? Need anything? Need water? You okay? I don't have any water. I got coffee. Are you okay? Are you sure you're all right? Let me tell you a story. And then proceeds to tell some fucking story that had if it had something to do with the story, I don't know what it was. I completely I guess I blanked at this point.
Only thing I can imagine it had to do with the story is that she knew somebody who went into those woods 30 years ago, didn't make it out, and everybody died from a quote unquote bear attack. And she assumes that is what happened to this girl and her friends. So I assumed that this was the story that the townspeople of this town were told to cover up the vengeful spirit. Because it seemed that the park ranger knows about the vengeful spirit, which makes sense because he is the ranger of said park where said spirit is buried.
And that would have made sense.
Yes, but you don't get that explanation. It's just she's rambling.
Checked out at this point. And at this point, I'm just sitting there going, what the fuck are you going on about? Why are you talking? The girl doesn't seem to care any more than we do. All this to just put a pin on it to show that he had, in fact, taken the necklace.
Yeah.
That's
and
it.
that's after they stop.
Because
the girl starts freaking out. You see flies, because that's another thing that you kind of start realizing every time the killer's around, you see or hear buzzing. Which makes sense, because again, dead.
Yeah.
And you kind of see a fly buzz by her, and she's just staring hardcore. I was looking all around those woods, thinking I was going to see something.
Because they stay on it, again,
for
so long.
So fucking long.
Expecting the killer to show up.
But then she just touches her cheek. She sees blood. And she's just kind of rubbing it around her fingers. And then it cuts back to the gas can and you see the fucking necklace gone. So it's like, okay, so it's over. He's not coming after her. So what the fuck was the point in any of that?
Yeah. Again, everything past the point where she put that necklace down, absolutely unnecessary. This was padding.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about a movie that's barely 90 minutes with credits, mind you.
Yeah.
So I'm sure a lot of this movie was barely going to cut an hour. I guarantee you. I guarantee you if I could get my hands on a copy and just trim the fat.
Oh, God.
You would not have an hour-long movie.
No, you would have a really good short film.
Yeah. 100%.
Or at least a semi-good short film. Because I would have to see it in its cut form, because there's just so much of staring off into wooded areas. So much of every time it was dark and you saw the victim characters and stuff, he was always off in the background. And that's cool, but we already fucking know he's there.
Yeah.
So it's not like any of the old horror movies where you see him and you're like, oh, shit, there he is. No, because you literally watched him stand up there. You know exactly what two trees he's standing beside and what angle to fucking look for.
So I want to read this quote here from the director, because I kind of feel like this is a guy who is in his pretentious filmmaking stage.
Oh, Lord.
I could be wrong. But he does mention, funny enough, that his inspirations were Elephant, Last Days, and Jerry, all from Gus Van Sant. So I can tell you right now, if these are his inspirations, I'm never going to watch another one of his movies. Because, look, I'll give credit to Gus Van Sant all day for Good Will Hunting, but you know what? There's a good script there too that 2 other people wrote, and capable. It could have been handled by any other director. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm sorry, but I think he lied through his teeth, because any person can watch that movie and go, oh, Friday the 13th was the inspiration.
Well,
because...
I hadn't got there yet, because, he was saying that he wants to characterize slower, more methodical, more deliberate characters, yada, yada. You're not there yet.
No.
Clearly, you don't understand how this works, because that's not it. He says that he wanted to treat this film like a nature documentary. Yet you succeeded, motherfucker.
Oh, 100%.
It's lulling you into a sense that the danger isn't quite there. I didn't get any sense of danger at all. Or any kind of misdirection.
Because there wasn't any of that suspense like you have in any other horror movie.
No.
The suspense comes from watching those characters that you can relate with, because you watch them be people that are like your friends or your loved ones or whatever. You don't have that with this. You...
He says when you see tourists getting really close to bears and they're just like, oh no, it's not doing anything, it's fine. Then all of a sudden the bear turns around and charges at you. I don't understand what he's comparing this to. This is not how this movie worked.
No.
They didn't just see him and be like, oh, hey bear. They all freaked out like you would. But then, no.
But that's the thing. They didn't... None of it was like, what would you do if a bear was charging at you?
No.
Not a one. The one girl just stood there and fucking took it.
Yeah.
The other ones got snuck up on. And a bear doesn't throw tomahawks. That sounded like somebody who this was apparently his fever dream and he wanted to make it happen. He made it happen and he's proud of it, but everybody else sees it for the piece of shit that it is.
And that's going to be the biggest problem, is because I guarantee you've got... Like, I went into this willing to give it a chance, feeling like that I'm going to be one of those people that is going to have to defend this movie because I'm going to see it for what it is. And guess what? I did see it for what it is. And it's not a good movie. If you like it, good for you. If you can tolerate that for 90 minutes.
And we did try. We didn't start really shitting on it until a little bit later into it. It wasn't right at the beginning.
No,
like I made the comment towards the beginning of, wow, that's a nice pole, because it stayed on the pole for what felt like ever. But once he was out of the ground, watching him walk through and everything, it was really cool and kind of like surreal, because again, in my head, I imagine, oh, this is what Jason looked like when he was walking through the woods, and this is what he did when he was doing this, which is what would have made it so much better. And I can understand that somebody might not have wanted to take something like Jason and make a fan fiction or whatever of it, but that would have been such a better movie than what was made.
I don't even want to say that it would have been a better movie. This is a concept that needs to be handled with deft precision, and I don't think there's a lot of directors out there that would know how to do this properly. I'm not even sure I would even know how to approach this, because this would be my fear, is I would have an idea like that, but I'm going to turn it into 90 minutes of boredom. Because you think about it long term and you're like, all right, so how do you do that and not bore the fuck out of everybody?
But possibly not, because you think of, like, yes, I feel like with him in the woods and everything else, yes, that is boredom, because it's so much of just walking in absolutely nothing other than freaking nature. Which, okay, right on, but also, if you did it like a Michael Myers, following a Michael Myers around a freaking town, watching how he weaves in and out and how he can stay obscured and hidden without even really trying, I feel like that would be cool.
And I feel like we've done that to some degree in scenes in those movies. Like, they'll do it for a little bit where we'll just stay right here on his shoulder and just kind of waltz through.
Which is cool, but...
That could be a very clever way to do it. Like a character like Michael Myers, looking at the approach, you just have to find a way. How are you going to tell this story and snappy ways to keep it interesting and just keep moving, because it could be done really, really good.
It could be.
And I honestly feel like, just thinking about that, like Halloween night, Michael Myers, that's your angle.
Mm-hmm.
As you just, what is it going to be like for him on Halloween night, weaving around everybody, and how do you keep it interesting? I think that's the bigger hook.
I'm honestly kind of surprised nobody has tried to take like what they did in the first Halloween, where at the beginning when he's a kid and he is wearing the mask and you see the whole kill scene through the mask as the killer. I'm honestly surprised nobody has tried to do a movie entirely like that.
I think that would probably aggravate people, because then you would see, obscured vision. So
I'm not even talking about just like, I'm talking about through the eyes of the
just
killer.
so make it like a first person. Okay.
Yeah,
No,
basically.
I mean, we've done first person movies. We've seen it before. So
yeah.
It wouldn't be that much of a stretch. You can make it interesting. Yeah. Again, if we go down this road of interesting concepts, we have to make sure that there's a good concept to then morph into a great movie. Because they're great ideas. They're conceptually great ideas. But execution is always going to be difficult, and you've got to find out where your weaknesses are and try to find a way to avoid those or strengthen them in some way.
Well, because I feel like the problem with it is you're going to have so many of the same tropes.
Yeah.
Like you could do a Michael Myers-esque character, somebody who went crazy, killed somebody, got locked up in a loony bin, oh my God, he broke out, and then just the dialogue that you hear throughout the movie is all the townspeople talking. So he's hearing various parts of what all the townspeople are saying. That'd be cool. You can't really do that with a Jason character, because it's usually a very small amount of people in a very large area.
And I think the other part of it too is, I mean, essentially something like this idea is finding a way to take a fresh approach to a common, because I mean, at the end of the day, if you were just to write this as what it was, I mean, we've seen this slasher movie 100 times.
Oh, 100%. It's every Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah.
Ever.
But what do you do to make it interesting? So I give them credit for trying to flip the idea. Like, what are we going to do to make this interesting? But again, I don't feel like you did a good enough job. It needed some more time to really bake, to really figure out how do you tighten up some of the weaker elements.
It didn't need to be a full film.
I think you could pull this off as a full length film, but like you cannot be padding this for just walking and shit. At first, it worked. I get it. Like you said, it was interesting. It was fascinating because we hadn't seen it. But by the end of the movie, we're way past this walking shit, man. Let's go.
Yeah, because it's just mundane.
Yeah, there's so much of it and so long. Okay, so if that was his intention to make a nature documentary, fuck it. That's
but
his
even
business,
nature
but I don't want to watch it.
Nature documentaries, you have dialogue over top of the freaking documentary.
Yeah.
And I even made that comment. It was like waiting to hear somebody go, the beautiful forest of Canada. Like, that's what it felt like it needed.
We watched the lumbering killer making his way through the poppies.
Exactly. Because otherwise, it's just him walking. You hear, nature sounds, but his footsteps are so loud.
Mm-hmm. I can't recommend this movie. I've
Hell
got
no. Out of 10, I would give it a 0.
It's just, I can't.
Maybe a 1, because
if you want to at least skip to the kill scenes, I could recommend that. But honestly, I don't even feel like there's really maybe 1 or 2 good ones, and that's about it. I mean, they're outside of the girl with the stomach and the head and everything. Like, that felt like the most creative one, but beyond that,
it was creative, but it was also just too much.
Yeah, and just like,
if it would have been a quick, 1-2 loop-de-loo, then okay, but it wasn't. They drug it out.
It was a kill that did just what the movie does. Drags it out. So, Ramblers, have you seen In a Violent Nature? We just got to see it on Shudder because it just dropped over there. So if you got to see it this past weekend or whatever, let us know on social media at Horror Ramblings, or you can send us an email at horrorramblings@gmail.com. Join us on Facebook or Discord. Find us on Instagram. Head on over to Patreon to give us a few dollaroonies if you'd like. That's a new word I just came up with, dollaroonies. I'm sure I've heard that somewhere. You can also help the podcast grow by leaving a 5-star review in your favorite app. And keep up with any and all things over at pencilpaperproductions.com/horror-ramblings. Links are in the show notes down below. Just remember, guys, stay spooky out there.
This has been the Horror Ramblings podcast. Join us next time for even more.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.